What's going on, world? We're rocking with the young man Nuke, and this is FRESHH Radio, where I bring you the family revolution, edutainment, spirituality, health, and hip hop all in one show. And today, on this brisk evening, afternoon, I have a wonderful guest. She's actually been designing costumes for the hit music review, the Barbary Coast, and I have her in the building today talking about, we're going to talk about a couple of different things, and we're going to get in depth for this time that we have together. Miss Lorraine, you are out there?
Yeah, hi, Luke. So I am a costume designer, but I'm also a textile artist. Do a lot of work with, working with fabric, sculpting it, and so on. And I've spent a good portion of my life learning my craft, and then, of course, teaching it. I also have a teaching credential, but I recently retired from that last fall. Couldn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But my life's ambition was always and still is to be successful and at least get noticed for my work. And like so many of us artists, it's really almost impossible sometimes to unlock the doors to make yourself known. I am sure, and you yourself doing what you do with recording artists, but we keep doing what we love and keep going if you can. And I try to stay positive and stay away from excuses, such as money, but it's kind of hard to do that. And then the social media, I'm old school, so the social media thing has always been hard for me to get on there. And we have a mutual friend, Fatima. I want to give a shout out to her. And she was a big part of the Barnaby Coast Revue. And when I look back at that time in my life, that was 10 years ago, and I went back to school late in life, and I had just started to do what they call an internship for teaching. But I was always making art in the meantime, and I had done a lot of theater work. But I reminisce on that creative process that I did for this show. And it was here in San Francisco, and it was a play based on the Barnaby Coast, which is the gold rush. That's the red lit district in San Francisco, which was really pretty amazing, pretty crazy. And it was the time period was 1860 to like 1880, so it was a while back. And when I was offered that from a colleague to do this, he gave me creative freedom, but I had to open up the door to really looking at history and understanding what people were wearing. And it was a long time just doing that, gathering pictures. And the first rehearsal that I went to, I measured everybody, and I got the script, and I talked to everybody. And I think because of that experience, and especially because of Fatima, because I've known her now for 10 years, I've come to believe that those you meet in your life that become part of your orbit as you go on, that is kind of part of the plan, which is kind of a crazy thought, but I think it is. And so even though, that had a really small budget, there wasn't a lot of money, and it was a lot of work, I really enjoyed that experience. This director, his name is Keith, he knew about my theater work that I had did, and my knowledge of pattern making. And so he said, you can do this. And that was the opening of that door. And I just have to say that I spent so much time with this one particular character, and he was a big guy, and he played an Irishman. And I like to, when I work, I like to combine beauty and evil, if you will, like Beauty and the Beast, to come up with an end product that is really the wow factor. And I think just saying that, Schiaparelli just did a runway thing, and all of his costume, well, I call them costumes because they're not really something that you could wear out to a party, unless, I guess, if you were a celebrity or something. But part of it, the dress or the costume was very beautiful. And then there was the other part was the maybe part of an animal or a lizard. And I thought, oh, no, that's kind of neat. Anyway, so getting back to this, Evan was his name. And I must have done 10, probably 12 fittings with this guy. I was trying to get something, because this is a costume that he wears through the entire musical. Mm-hmm. He's got the red hair going, he's got the red beard, and, I'm like, we think about color, and, colors mean things. So the fabric that I had to give him a vest, right? And the fabric that I chose was very, very green, but almost a mint green, and it was satin. And with that being said, finally, that costume that he wore, it's a metaphor for a light, for his stage light. It was so amazing. People talked about it, and then he even went on to do a commercial for, I think it was some cognac or something, and he wore that vest. So, and Keith says to me, he says, when we talk about relationships with color in the audience, we try to get the audience to kind of like, did they have a relationship? And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, well, let's use Cinderella, the movie, as an example. That beautiful, beautiful gown that she wore, that was this turquoise color, which is like really beautiful. And took hundreds, of course, probably thousands of hours for those seamstress to put that together, because it was layers and layers and layers of that fabric. He said the print on his jacket, the collar, they used a velvet, and it was the very same color as her gown. And that was a light bulb moment for me. So I got it, and there was a wow factor. And I tried to do that for the other characters. So, production fittings, when you do fittings for, anyone, and you want it to be really like, you see these people in the runway and the celebrities, it's like, how did they get something to be so perfectly fit? Well, it's, they basically make it onto that person's body, or they take a mold of the body measurements, and it's a lot, very labor intensive. And I guess that's why, that kind of stuff is thousands
that type of stuff,
dollars.
It takes like a lot to really bring in.
For sure.
And make
and
that
I really don't kind of understand that, because someone like myself who gets, not very much money, but then you look at that kind of stuff, but it's in the name, and it's just like, what are the Nike shoes and these shoes that my kids would tell me about at school that were $20,000, and it's because of the name, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, they're good shoes. But that stuff, like, for example, that Beyonce wears and J-Lo, that stuff is literally thousands. Probably, I read that one of her dresses was like $50,000. Mm-hmm. Amazing. So, but anyway, going back to what I was saying, you make a lot of mistakes in the way, and you turn on the reset button, pushes your emotions. And then I say to myself, it's all good because you love what you're doing. So I want to talk about, something that, New Year, we're in now to 2026.
Yes, ma'am.
And, we made it this far. Every year is like people go into their goals and their New Year's resolutions. I never really did that. And my birthday is New Year's Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, my mother had her debut. She got her picture on the front page of the newspaper, but that was, really the start of the only fame really that I ever had so far. But we did get a really good, nice review in the San Francisco Chronicle, Barbary Revue, and even I did. So, but I was kind of telling you earlier when we were on the air, I had a dream that was really scary, and I woke up right before my alarm went off, and it scared me so much that it was I was fearful, and it wasn't really I remember the dream, and it was that somebody had stole my car. I was at my job and I was cleaning out my classroom and packing up my personal belongings. So I thought, you know what, with this AI thing, I'm gonna write and ask this AI thing what that meant. And so this is what it said. You have a new journey. Now there is uncertainty in your life. Your subconscious, and I never ever thought of my subconscious before, is processing that in a dream. You've lost control of your immediate life's path. After resigning or deciding to retire from teaching, it's created feelings of uncertainty, and your subconscious is processing negativity and difficulty to create a viable path forward. And I'm like, yeah, that's really kind of spot on, because I'm like, what was I thinking? What am I going to do? And then so bad dreams are a message for you to create goals and plans to make them achievable. Change your routines, write down the goals, and read them out loud to yourself every morning or before you go to sleep. So I did, and dreams really mean stuff. I feel better. That was like probably 2 weeks ago, and every day now I'm doing something towards my goals, and I feel, I'm not there yet, but I'm doing baby steps. Like I started to create my a website, and it's called Lorraine, which is Lori in French. It's Lor, an accent over the E, and it was .com that was available. Nobody has that. And I'm getting some help. I found out from Instagram there's a thing called the free website guys. So I contacted them, and yes, it's true. They will do a free website for you. You got to pay for the domain, which is $12 a year. And then if whatever theme that you want, you have to pay like $20 for it, or $29 is what I paid. So it hasn't. We're working on it, and it's probably going to be launched in February, like the 8th. So that's a first, because I never had a website before.
That's exciting.
When I was teaching, I had things that I would put together, but it was all PowerPoint. And then Instagram, I've got, I don't really get anything from Instagram, and I don't do these reels that people do, like Fatima, she's on there a lot. And I get it because she's a singer. But, I've got all kinds of things. I can do alterations. I can do, custom work. Like I do a lot of bridal, altering. I do curtains, all of that kind of stuff. But I used to be able, well, before I was teaching, I would just simply go put my name into Craigslist, and that's unheard of now. It's all about the social media thing. So I'm completely, lost with that. And it's okay. I mean, I have to take baby steps. And I think with this bad dream I had, it kind of, kind of opened up a door because I wasn't really doing a whole lot. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything to add? Did you make some New Year's resolutions, Luke?
I typically don't make New Year's resolutions. I make a daily resolution. I don't wait till the end of the year to start making changes. I just want to make sure that when, like you were saying earlier about changing little things with your habits, I just recently picked up a book, The Atomic Habits, and I can't get you the author right now, but it's a real good book. I've only actually really read the first couple pages of it, and I just started in the chapter
What's the name of the book?
Atomic Habits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's basically just about how to create good habits and get rid of the bad habits. It's a bestseller, so it's been out there for a while. I've heard about it for at least about 4 or 5 years, I want to say, but I just recently.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, that we have to have routines, and our subconscious is really running the show. We don't even think about that. Mm-hmm. You only have a percentage of your mind that's working, but the subconscious is running the whole system. You're breathing, all of it.
Right.
And I had no idea that like nightmares was your subconscious telling you to get your shit together. Mm-hmm. So and it's true. My life now is like I'm basically working at home, so I have to have the habits. I have to create routines. You get up, you don't sleep in every day till 10 o'clock. I'm getting up at 6:30, and I do my reading because you have to keep your mind active. You do a thing of reading, good reading. Mm-hmm. Then, I go into I do a Tai Chi thing for exercise for 15 minutes, and then I start my textile work. I have I'm usually doing 2 or 3 projects at once, and I try to post on Etsy and eBay something at least every week. But you had asked, it said something about I'm on Instagram, and my username is Viva La France, which is VIVELAFRANCE 898. And then my website, which will be up and running in February, will be Lorraine.com. But on the Instagram thing, I list my Etsy account. But I haven't, I don't know. I all of a sudden I had all these followers, and I noticed a lot of them were from, places that I don't even know. And I was just a little bit eerie of that because I've been, what is that fraud thing? I've had fraud, and I just got a little bit strange with that. So I kind of limited it to a private account because that fraud stuff is very. All of a sudden they attack seniors. I don't know.
Right.
That's what my son told me.
What is it called? I should never have spoke because I know exactly what you're talking about. I work in insurance, and there's a lot of that going around too, where people are just acting, claiming that there's somebody that they're not.
Yeah, it's prevalent now. It's and it's really kind of scary. I said to the bank, how in the world did they actually get my checking account number? They didn't. It wasn't a credit card. They actually used the numbers on the bottom of my check.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And because the only check I write is for my rent, and the bank people told me that that's usually it's somebody that knows you, or somebody that's in your part. And I had a bunch of workers in my apartment doing all kinds of stuff. So I don't know, but still, you have to be really careful.
So let
you
me
ever get the text messages where we have your phone number, and somebody at Walmart had just purchased a PS4 for $1,500. If this is not your transaction, please call immediately.
Right.
They want to get your information, like your social security number and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a lot of those calls. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on.
No, it's all right. I want to ask you this question before we do. We do depart. We still got a little bit of time. When it comes to, there's a couple things that we talked about earlier, but like when it comes to the importance of art, how do you?
What?
How do you?
I can't hear you.
The importance of art. How do you gauge the importance of just the art discipline that we're both in?
Well, my mother was an artist. She had no education, and it saved her. She had mental illness and stuff. And every single person is an artist, but they have to untap that creativity. It is essential to everything you're doing. And when you talk about your children, that art for them in school is really important because it builds self-esteem. They're learning to make decisions when they're making art. And so critical thinking is, being introduced, and it leads to a better learner. So that art is actually crossing over into their other subjects, science, math, language arts, all of it. And I know this because there's been studies done on it, and I have done papers on this. And my mother, for example, she was living in nature. She was raised on a farm, and I remember when I was a little girl, and she's painting the lake, and she's putting purple and all these different colors in the water. And I'm like, Mom, why are you doing all these different colors? But she goes, Lori, it's not. Look at the sun. The sun is hitting that water, and it's different colors. So this was science, And I thought, wow, that's so true. We're looking at something. When my students, I would tell, you have to study. You have to really look at something and analyze it and break it down. And you're thinking about it. You have to, I said that in the creative process, I spent more time thinking about what I was going to do than I actually spent on making it. What do you think about that?
That is, I could tell you right now, I just actually seen a video on Instagram where it was basically said that, the difference is that a lot of creatives, the distance between the ideal and bringing it into fruition, a lot of those creatives have a trouble of closing that gap. And the more we work at bringing those things out immediately, instead of just saying like, oh man, that's a good idea, let me get to it after I get to this idea. Like we put things in the back of our head so much that we won't even get a chance to get to it because we're just creative. We're always coming up with the next thing. So like closing that gap from the ideal to bringing it into the world.
You have to move on.
You have to. That's the moving portion of it. You have to be able to move forward in whatever it is that you're projecting. And that's That's the dilemma of a lot of artists. We don't have the I'll say it, we don't have the discipline to make sure that we come through
Or
and come
the
past.
routine, the time to step back. As far as I'm concerned, you've got to finish something before you can start something else.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're never going to get to finish that particular thing. Now that I'm not working as a teacher, you wouldn't believe the projects that I had stored. My whole one bedroom that I have, boxes of stuff that I had started and I never finished. And I stopped working in September, and that's all I've been doing is working on all these things and finishing them. I haven't had to buy any product or anything because of all this stuff. So, yeah, and then, but yeah, that is true. That is very true.
It is, and it just comes with the working through it and working past it comes through when we just continue to do it. You can't. It's a muscle for sure. For sure, this artistic expression that we have, it's a muscle, and the more you use it, the better you become at it. And there's never
Yeah.
I've reached the pinnacle of my artistic expression. You're always pushing that bar and what is it, changing the
Well,
goalposts.
what I worry about is this AI thing. And this AI thing, if people are going to just get into that and not think about their selves and how they can do it on their own, we're going to be lost.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the end of people. I don't want to be sounding like a weirdo, but there was an article about that. That this AI thing is not a good vehicle.
AI
Well, okay.
is going to take. I'm one of those people. I don't really do technology. I do believe technology is going to destroy humanity for sure, for sure, one way or another.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I know that it's a tool. It's a tool for us to do what we need to do with it. And um, if we are afraid to use the tool, it's just like what's a tool that a lot of people use currently? It's like the spoon. Like if you don't use the spoon correctly, it won't work the way that you need it to. And what I mean by that is like if you chose to eat chicken noodle soup with a fork or even with chopsticks, you're not getting the full bang for
No,
whatever
but
it's
you have
worth.
to figure that out, though, don't you?
And a lot of
Like if
people
you were
don't
a
care.
caveman, and
you know.
well, that's the motto today. Nobody cares, nobody cares, but they better care because the world is fucked up right now. I mean, excuse my French, but it is. It's not. We're not in a good place.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation.
No, that is a whole other conversation for sure, for sure. I I also want to type in before we get out of here the journey of this 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 journey that we're going on as artists and as creatives. I know, and this is just from my
Yeah.
perspective. I know that it's just as a aside from being an artist. I'll say this as a underlaying, but as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
I've recently, within the last year or so, mind you, my oldest is 11, but I've recently got to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I realized I'm gonna be a parent until I die. There's no escaping this. I'm not just
Oh yeah.
going to just like, oh, one day
Yeah.
I'll parent to
Absolutely.
so like when it comes to this journey of art,
Oh yeah. My
where
my
are we
son
going?
turned 34, and he's having issues with his relationships, and we have a really good relationship. We did at one time, not a good at all, and I'm totally like a very supportive, and I will drop everything for him
Mm-hmm.
when he calls. Are you there?
I'm here.
Uh-oh. Oh, I thought I lost you again.
Nah, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you know, you're going to have that, and it's very special. So, it's probably the greatest thing you've ever done.
That part. I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
So,
When it comes to the art, though, like where are we as artists? Like, how do we, parenting and art it's definitely, there's no manual. There's definitely no manual to parenting or artistry. But like in this journey, where as artists, how do we ride this journey? How do we best take advantage of what we got going on as artists?
well, like I talked about your orbit and your journey that you're in, the people that are in your orbit at the time, that's part of your journey, and you need to understand that. So you have to go with that, meaning you have to make that part of your art, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you have to experiment, and you have to make mistakes, but you have to go back to the same thing with the reset button, and you have to make that work enjoyable.
That part. And a lot of people, it is work. It's really, really work. And a lot of people don't think that artists put in work. Like I have a job.
Oh,
I have two
God.
jobs.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
just because people think that it's not, it might not be physically demanding, but mentally taxing to create music. It's there. I mean, it really is.
Oh, well, for me, it's both. And, that's the sad thing about, like, I'll make drapes or curtains. And, a drapery company will get probably $3,000 or $4,000 for a window set. And I charge maybe $500, and people complain about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's too expensive. And I'm like, do you have any idea how much work and, even just the shopping for the fabrics, and the colors and, all of that. Like, and even that, it's not, say, I probably put in 3 weeks of work. That comes to, maybe $10 an hour. So I'm living in America. I'm not in China. I mean, people do not think that textile people are, their value is nothing. And I think it's because of the consumer thing. Because I've heard that too from people that do wedding gowns. And this woman that I follow, she talked about how she'll get clients who, really don't like her prices. And she tried to explain it, but they don't think people, unless of course, you're in a position where you can have your own stylist or whatever, like I talked about before, but that's not realistic.
A lot of people,
for somebody like myself.
when I first, we'll say this, in 28, I was charging $1,500 for a verse. And a lot of people were like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. I've never heard of you before. And I mean, granted, I'm looking back at it now, I was probably being a little bit ridiculous. But in the same breath, I did that based upon the fact of the things that I had going on, the places that I was at, the time that it take for me to get there. I definitely should be charging $1,500 now. But in the same breath, I understand the market a lot better. However, the value that we place on ourselves is key, because the value, the actual dollar amount, that puts us into the place of a boundary between an amateur and a professional. And if you want somebody who's going to do something to your liking, then you meet them at that price range. This is my price. And if you don't like my price, then go somewhere else, and that's what you can do.
Yeah.
As artists,
Yeah. And that's what one thing that I struggle with, and I have for a long time. Barnaby Coast Revue, by the way, I didn't hardly make anything with that. I loved every part of it. And I said, that those people that were in my orbit at the time, that I was being told something, and I learned so much from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that knowledge, you move on and you take it with you. So that in a way is monetary of value. But today I'm probably a better seamstress than anybody here. I mean, my work is couture level, and nobody kind of knows that, but few do.
As long as you know that, and it reflects in your pricing.
Yeah, people don't do what I do anymore. They don't. I mean, they might in Paris, and there might be some people in New York, and some that have their own clients, which are all, celebrities. I don't, but I'm not going to take on a job to make a suit, for example, that is going to take me probably a month and a half to do, and accept $200 for it.
Yeah.
I just won't even do it. It's not worth it. It's so much work, the fittings and all of it, all of that stuff is all hand done, and it's all that interfacing, and those layers have to all be stitched. The thing has to be hung. Weights have to be put on it. I mean, people don't understand that.
Yeah,
but then they see somebody wearing a suit that's, $10,000. Oh, wow, okay.
Right.
Well, you know what it takes to get that?
There is a level of what's the word? A lot of people haven't gotten to that point to where that it's not that it costs this much.
Sophistication.
But like it really, they don't value the journey. I didn't just start doing this yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I think that they don't even realize it because they've never experienced it themselves. And so that's why, you and I, when we were talking, you do something different, completely different, but you understand me and I understand you. Yeah. So.
That's it. I think that's another thing too. Like you said, they don't know. I actually have the ability, because I've been in that realm, if you will, one way or another, the creative space. But a lot of people haven't. A lot of people just feel that this is the way it is. This is the way it should be, or X, Y, Z. But hey, listen, I can only.
I've gotten that from students. The teenagers in the classroom, where they don't even want to try, but then the ones that do, and the light comes on, it's like they just love you. I've gotten cards. Art is everything to me, and it is, to tell you the truth, because if you look around, whatever you do or you see and you feel, it's art, nature. Your favorite desserts, the clothes you wear, the places you go. I mean, it's all that. So, like, art can also be just the experience of looking at something visually. Mm-hmm. And, some of these people that I really love their work, I read about them, I will look at their work, and, they've actually helped me. Madeline Vianney, who invented 1930s the bias dress. When I was in school, I chose her as and I learned just studying that, improving myself. So, yeah.
That is it.
But,
I definitely, Lorraine. I
Yeah.
didn't
Do your
think that.
kids do?
I didn't think we have
Yeah.
have a conversation like this. What are you gonna say about my children?
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. Are they making art?
My daughter is very
I always
crafty.
like.
My oldest, she's very
Yeah.
crafty. She paints on my walls and she draws on my walls and everything, and she makes
Oh, cool.
she
That's
what does she
great.
does she
That's really good to hear.
crochet. She does a lot of crocheting. She does a lot of paper art. She
Oh,
does a lot
okay.
of paintings and
That's a calming mechanism
she
too.
she's
I
definitely
mean, we
very
don't always want
crafty.
to think our. Well, that's okay. All of that stuff. Our brains are working and recording because it helps us with, life is very stressful. So,
Right. No, for
well,
sure.
anyway, all right. Well, I love this conversation. I hope the audience who listen, they do as well.
For sure. Did
Because
you have any
we're
other
all
things that you
artists,
wanted to
aren't
share
we?
with them before we leave out of here?
I think we're good. I want to thank you very much, and Fatima for, making this happen. The orbit, 10 years. Actually, yeah, she's our mutual friend. She's wonderful,
Right.
right?
Right. Definitely everybody knows and loves Miss Eyes for sure, for sure.
Yeah. All right, then. So you have a wonderful day, weekend, and have a great time with your kids.
Thank you. Thank you. Lorraine, and you as well, and everybody out there listening to Fresh Radio. We appreciate you bringing us with the family revolution, edutainment, spirituality, health, and hip hop all in one show. Y'all be smooth. Peace.
Okay.